Welcome to a very special edition of Drinks Coach, episode 121. Over the kind of summer period, there's quite a lot of press tastings that go on for different supermarkets, and they send you their best wines. Some of the wines which are designed really for their autumn and Christmas offer. So I've ended up with some really amazing Chardonnays, which I wanted to taste with you. There's 5 Chardonnays here. I haven't tried them before, but I've picked them out of a bigger bunch on the basis that from previous form and history and producers, these should all be pretty good. In fact, I've tried one of these before. So in a moment, I'm going to be cooking some tiger prawns, some squid, some lobster on there. Only way that you can get away with drinking really premium Chardonnay in the middle of summer is to cook really good food to go with it. So that's going to happen in a moment. But without further ado, here are some great Chardonnays. And I've never really done a show on Chardonnay per se. So this is a Chardonnay show where I'm showing different wines from different countries in different regions, made in different ways, to give you a bit more of an oversee on what Chardonnay can do. I mean, there was a time when people, there was a club back in the 90s called the ABC Club, which was anything but Chardonnay, because we were inundated with Australian Chardonnays that were thick with pineapple oak and tropical fruit. They were quite hard work to drink in a refreshing sort of way, certainly also in California. But these wines are now much more revered. They've been more refined with vine age and more complexity and more understanding of how these wines ferment and how the grapes grow in the vineyard. These wines are still the absolute top of white wine in the world. You know, you can say, oh, Chenin Blanc's the best white wine variety in the world. You could probably say that about Riesling, but deep down, winemakers, journalists, consumers, we all know that if you drink really great Chardonnay, it's basically impossible to beat. So we're going to start off with this. This is Marques Casa Concha. Now, Marques Cascocho 2018, which was a celestially good vintage in the country that this is from, which is Chile. And this is also from a region which is almost on the Peruvian border, right up in the deserts in the north of Chile. And the Atacama Desert, there are places in the Atacama Desert where it hasn't rained for 4 years. And in some places, I believe, that haven't ever seen rain. You can get down on your knees and lick the ground, and it's bacterially sterile. It is the most arid and most formidable of all climates in the entire world. But the amazing guys at Concha, which is now the largest wine company in the world in Chile, who, even their cheap wines, and I think I've recommended them before, your Marques Casa Concha, Concha connoisseur, they don't make bad wine. They're a giant business, but when you look at the winemaking of people like Marcel Papa and other superstar winemakers at this company, they really are the most reliable giant in the modern world for drinking wine. And if you're going to come back late night on the train and you go find a Londis because you need a bottle of wine for your friends to drink as a nightcap, you can't go wrong with Concha really. If you don't like the style, that's fine, but they do make amazing wines. Now, the Chardonnay here is from this region, as I mentioned, called Limarí. And Limarí is a piece of desert which they actually bring water to, because there isn't any water there. But if there had been water, and this is the reason why I did it, it has perfect temperature, growing conditions, soil, strong, deep, dense, striated limestone. And this brand, Marques de Casa Concha, is the one above their standard entry-level wine. These wines are not expensive. You're probably looking at about £12 or £13. And these wines are treated every bit the same way as premium wines from any other vineyard that grows Grand Cru or Premier Cru Chardonnay. Look at the colour. By the way, big shout out to Sandra and Julian. I'm in their garden. They're in Toulouse, kneesing up by the beach, eating nice food. My wife's in the corner in the sunshine. And this is an opportunity for us to have a garden, which I don't have. We live in an apartment 3 floors up. So this has been a really special afternoon. I've just taken the day off. And I just thought I'd film one of these shows. So, what do we reckon? Well, every year I try Chilean Chardonnay, they get better. What was wrong with them before? I know there was something a bit staccato, a bit Lego-y. That is to say, they always felt like they were blocky. There was a fruit component, there was an oak component. It felt like somebody put it together like a Lego car. They're becoming much more poetic and silky. What you want with Chardonnay, even if it's a very, very dry, slaty, minerally Chablis from a cool vintage, or a big, rich Chardonnay from Russian River in California. What they all want, what you need is this flow. You want this poetry. You want everything to connect seamlessly, like a great film. You don't see the kind of, the film doesn't stop and start, oh, what happened there? It just has this flow. And you want that from Chardonnay. And Chardonnay can smell of virtually anything. It can smell of virtually anything. You know, anything from stones to fresh, crisp apple to pineapple to mango to custard apple, peanuts. I mean, you name it. It has so many different aromatic components that it really is capable of making the most extraordinary variety of drinks. It just depends on where you plant it. And really what it comes down to is great Chardonnay isn't made in a winery, it's made in a vineyard. You find the right site, which has real character and expression. People just coo over them. And that's the reason why Chardonnay is here to stay and has always been around. Everything is benchmarked by this stuff. Like I said, I just smelt it. Has a lovely stone melon, kind of like a really cool, fresh French melon character. There's a spice from the oak. This has been, some of it's been barrel fermented, which tastes like white chocolate in the mouth. It's almost like it's got a creamy white, like remember Milky Bars? It's got a Milky Bar creaminess to it. But over the Milky Bars are like a mango lassi, mango souffle. So it's got this tropical fruit, mango, texture of melon, and then this lovely drag from very well judged oak. But this is spectacularly good Chardonnay, considering that it comes from a country which has struggled, I think, compared to other countries, to really state its claim as a Chardonnay grower. A friend and colleague who writes this incredible report every year on Chile and Wine, Tim Atkin, scored this 93 points. And when I saw it, I went, oh yeah, really? Chilean Chardonnay? It's not even top Chardonnay. This is like mid-price. I have to agree with him. I think this wine has got fantastic balance. Will taste very nice with the tiger prawn. Moving on. So we're going from Chile, from the north of Chile, right up high altitude deserts, which are quite cool, right across the Indian Ocean, going Pacific Ocean, going the other way. We're going to Australia. This is on the west coast of Australia, and this is a brand called Robert Oakley Vineyards. Now, Robert Oakley, very wealthy man, used to own one of the greatest wineries back in the 80s that really kind of created fine wine in some ways in Australia. And it was a company called Rosemount, and he sold that, and I don't think he ever wanted to get back into owning vineyards, but I suppose once you're in it, you're in it. And he employed a guy who's been making wine in Western Australia. I've been drinking wines that he's been made since 1991. And he's a legend of a guy, very cool dude. He's got the coolest hair in the world. And his name's Larry Cherubino. And Larry Cherubino looks after the winemaking team here at Robert Oakley. And the wines here in the region of Margaret River can be spectacular. Now, this one comes from the Co-op, and there are different levels. If you want to go pimp my Robert Oakley and go to Finisterre, which is their top Chardonnay, I think Waitrose sell it for 20 quid. But this excited me because it's only about £12, which is inexpensive considering where it's come from, how far it's come from, and the fact that Larry Cherubino made it. And I just wanted to try a Larry wine. It's got the same age, it's 2018. What's that? So it's 3 years old. And Larry and I are mates. And he has an ability, he has had the ability to show much more senior and much more experienced wine growers in Australia how to make wines taste more elegant, more European. I remember he made a wine called Gladstone Cabernet, which, when I tasted it, was only about 12% alcohol. And I thought, how can you make a Cabernet Sauvignon 12% in Australia with all that heat? And I drank it and I just thought, this tastes like Medoc. It just tasted like great Bordeaux. That was 30 years ago. So he's learned a thing or two since then. He's a real wizard. So here's to you, Larry. Oh, man. Ex-head buyer for Odd Bins. Everyone in the UK has heard of Odd Bins. It was our biggest independent retailer for many years. Steve Daniels has had faith in this guy all these years, and I've got a feeling it was him that imported this originally. I'm not sure. But shout out to you, Stephen, as well. This wine has such fine white peach, and there's a lovely spicy, like spiced vanilla peaches. If you imagine poaching a white peach in in a spiced sugar with like I don't know, star anise and things like that. You'd end up with this beautiful dessert of freshness, really fresh, but it has a sorbet-like refreshment to it as well. It's not heavy and creamy. This wine is considerably lower in alcohol than this. This was 14%. This is 13%, and that's a big drop-off. So I'm expecting this wine to taste more elegant too. Unbelievably easy to drink. The aftertaste has a tart. It kind of brings the horse to a stop. It goes, ooh! It's a bit like some cocktails can be very sweet, but you add enough acidity, then that sugar, that heaviness disappears, and you end up with this bright finish. And this wine has beautiful varietal Chardonnay expression. Now, this couldn't be anything else but Chardonnay. That's really good. What does it say on the back? White, peach, accented, gently oaked. Well, that's exactly what I just said. Was that subliminal, or did I say that before I read it? Anyway, brought in by a company called Hatch Mansfield down in Ascot. They've got an amazing range of wines. If I drink this much of each wine, will I be shedded at the end? I don't know. I'm going to try. That'd be brilliant with the salmon I'm about to barbecue, I reckon. So we've gone Chile, one of the best Chardonnays in Chile, irrespective of a very, very low price point, under £15. You must be able to find this elsewhere. I think this is sold in Tesco's right now. On offer, I reckon that's going to be a tenner. Brilliant Chardonnay, and I can't believe I'm saying that about Chilean Chardonnay, because I've always been a bit resistant, but very good. This is a real step up, although they're quite similar in price. Go to Coop and drink that. Now, we've got 2 French Chardonnays to try, a couple of treats, and then we've got a New Zealand Chardonnay. So we're only halfway through the bat, so let's try this. This was at a recent press tasting I couldn't make to Co-op, and Ben, one of the head buyers, called me and said, look, you've got to try this wine. This is a wine I was hoping to talk to you about. You weren't there, so can I send you a bottle? So here I am saying it on camera. 2019, this is from Burgundy. It's from the middle of Burgundy, what we call the Chardonnay, in a place called Ruilly. R-U-L-L-Y. Now, the thing is, this wine's made by Jean Chartron. Jean Chartron. Chartron, I mean, that sounds like singer or something. But Jean Chartron is very well known for making very expensive, very fine Pouilly Fumé. He makes a lot of Pouilly Fumé by comparison to other people. And you wouldn't have a hope in hell of drinking his wines for less than about 30 quid. This is being sold in Co-op throughout the summer and towards Christmas for about 18 or 19 pounds. And it's in a region which, over time, people have appreciated has spectacularly good soil to make very minerally, very complex, very interesting, very textured Chardonnay. It's got an incredible colour. I mean, 2019 was ripe. It wasn't so ripe that it was kind of... It was just... It's a wine you probably want to drink a little bit younger than others, that's all. So... This is a wine that there's so much there. You'd almost want to decant this. I'm just going to pour this backwards and forwards from the glass. Give it some air. There. Okay, there you go. This wine has the most beautiful, light, spiced... what do you call that stuff? It's like a hazelnut brittle or something like that. It's got this wonderful crunch to it. There's a smell of toasted hazelnuts. Underneath there's a smell of Meyer lemon. That's got an exotic lemony smell, but not sharp lemon juice. We're talking more about the oil. So it's got a lovely lemony fragrance to it. And somewhere in between there's kind of something verging on tropical, but not. I mean, 2019 was very, very warm in Burgundy. And this one, I wouldn't say it was mango. It's not. That's just too ripe. But it has these kind of flecks of maybe green mango or kind of star fruit or... apricot, maybe. Yeah, apricot's closer. In the gob, different gravy. Okay, this is lovely. This is silky, stylish. This wine grabs you by the throat. It has attention. It's not aggressive. It just makes this powerful statement of flavour. It's very minerally. It sucks the moisture out of your mouth. It's really toothsome and chewy. You know when you bite into a fresh apricot and it just takes, the acidity just takes some of the sweetness and saliva out of your mouth and it's... I can taste the fuzz of the peach now. Cheers, Ben. Cracker, absolutely. Jean Chartron Rouy, under 20 quid at Co-op. Now, bringing you on to the only wine that I've tried before, which I asked to call in. Wine made by Sue Daniels, Master of Wine at the amazing winemaking team in Marques and Spencer's. And this is Pouilly Fuissé from Pierre Vessigo. This is one of the great value producers in white wine and Chardonnay in the whole of the world. This wine, again, sneaks under 20 quid for a Pouilly Fuissé, which is a region which is really quite heralded these days. Not only that, but this is made from his old vines. This is Pouilly Fuissé Vignes. And when you say old vines in Burgundy, we're not talking like in South Africa, old vines are 25 years old. These wines are probably 60 years old, I'm guessing. Because regular Chablis can be had with 60-year-old vines. This is going to be old vine. Oh. Anyway, Pierre Vessigo is based in an area in the Mâconnais, which is the most southerly district in the whole of Burgundy. At the top you've got Chablis, you've got this core where the mega wines are from. Then you've got the Chardonnay, and at the bottom you've got Mâcon, where it actually butts up to a Beaujolais and Beaujolais Blanc. White wine is made very, very close to here. There's almost an overlap. You're almost in the upper Rhone now. You're in the Rhone Alp. And here we've got a bottle of wine from the same vintage as the Rouy, so super, super ripe. Pierre Vessigo is from one of the southern Mâcon appellations, one of the villages which is really heralded for making good wine. And if I was to pick two villages in Mâcon which make great wine, it's Vielles, or Vielles and Solutré. And I'm pretty sure that Pierre Vessigo is based in Solutré. Colour-wise, not quite as deep as the Rouy, but very similar kind of richness in colour. I'm throwing it everywhere. Oh, yeah, man, I remember what I called this in. Okay, so this is another fabulous wine. It's quite rare with the escalating price of Burgundy. It's really rare that you can find two sub-20 quid mega Chardonnays on the shelf. What would you drink with this? Well, barbecue some seafood. Barbecue a lobster, man. You know, I mean, the wine's 20 quid. 16 quid for a lobster. Or roast flipping chicken. I love oat Chardonnay roast chicken. There are wines in South Africa that are quite similar to this, and this has got a bit more kind of joie de vivre, va-va-voom. Okay. Oh wow! The first thing that strikes me about this wine compared to the other is this wine isn't at its peak yet. The Rouy, I drink that all day long now. I drink it maybe 2 or 3 years. It might get a bit better. It will develop and open up and be more complex. But will it give you more visceral satisfaction if you keep it? This one will. Put this in the rack for a year. It's been aged in French oak for 12 months, which I imagine the Rouy has too. Holy shit, that's really good. Okay, alcohol levels again. 14, 13, 13. This is a little higher at 13.5. Not surprising. Old vines produce fewer grapes, so the grapes tend to have more sugar in them. This wine's got a bit more punch, but wow, wow. It says Sue reckons it'll age for 5 years. I think that's bang on. I wouldn't want to keep it longer than 5, but I'm pretty sure if you drank this in 15 years, it would still be delicious. It's got a tautness. It's got an athleticism. It's got a linearity that this wine doesn't have. Surprising, really, because this wine's in an even warmer area further south, but the soils in Fuisse can be quite special. So 2 fantastic supermarket French Chardonnays. Finishing on this. I'm really sorry, Katja. Katja is the woman that looks after Davies wine shops in London, and you can buy these wines online. She's always been so fantastically supportive of my show, and at Christmas I said, if you're going to spend money, I think it was £35, you want to buy a wine which was from New Zealand, and it was called Tucano Pinot Noir, and for me that would have been the perfect roast turkey wine. And if you go back and look at my show, which is Posh Wines for Christmas, it was actually the red wine from this producer. This is a winery that was set up by a family called the Lloyd family. I can't remember the winemaker. Dave Sutton, is it? Doesn't say on the label. I think his name's Dave Sutton. But this is the... I'll tell you the reason why I call this in. I'm not going to lie. Dr. Jamie Good, one of the great wine journalists, one of the great wine brains in England, did this on a show, and I went, Takani do a Chardonnay as well? I better call it in. So I called it in because I wanted to try it on the basis the Pinot Noir was so amazing. This is from a region in New Zealand called Central Otago, one of the most arid but most strikingly, awe-inspiringly beautiful landscapes you could ever imagine to see. It's fairly arid, there's not much there, but the colours, you've got this cyan aqua lake of Lake Wanaka, and in the distance you've got the, I think it's, what is it, Prince Henry Glacier, I can't remember what it's called, but you've got snow and ice, and on the right you've got a desert, and it's just the most extraordinary place. Anyway, they found a site which they thought was really special, and these guys make small quantities of very fine wine. I'd not known about them until Davies introduced me to their Pinot Noir. This is a 2019 Central Otago Chardonnay. Central Otago has extraordinary properties for growing Chardonnay, and the same as Pinot Noir. And there's always big comparisons made between Central Otago in New Zealand and Burgundy in France, because the best wines cost about the same. I mean, they're hundreds now, but they are both capable of producing extreme beauty in two of the hardest grape varieties in the world to grow. They're different, but they're beautiful. And when you go to Central Otago, it's a place where there's a huge ozone hole for a start, but they have insane amounts of heat and insane amounts of ripening UVB radiation coming down, ripening these grapes to the max. And then at night, because you're in an altitude desert, it's freezing cold, which stops the wines developing too much and getting too flabby and too oily, a bit baked, a bit, you know, sexy beast. It's like these wines have athleticism and power as well, and the soils they have there, striated limestone and stuff, are some of the finest wine soils known to mankind. So, priceless wine of the day, £24.99, £10 cheaper than their Pinot Noir, so fine. The first thing I thought of when I smelt this was it reminded me of other really mega New Zealand Chardonnays. Look up Ripon Vineyard, look up Coin Rock. It has a similar stance about it. Coin Rock? Is that in South Africa? This wine, when you smell it, it pervades the capillaries in your nose. It goes in through the skin. It has a penetrative, profound smell and power, which is very unusual. When you smell this wine, it's almost like you're having a nasal arm wrestle with the wine. Emma, we're going to drink really well tonight. Crikey. Yeah, make me a cigarette. I think I need one after this. Stunning wine. Absolutely stunning. What would I eat with that? Very hard to think of something that can stand up to a wine like that. But that wine has incredible sleekness, incredible complexity. It has toastiness, which is only managed by exceptional winemaking and knowing the right kind of oak, the right size of oak, the right char of oak, so you don't spoil the party, which is the Chardonnay. The wine goes in as a wine, and it comes out like a peacock's tail. It's almost like listening to a band. It's like this is Led Zeppelin in a bottle, right? You can drink this wine, and every time you pick up a mouth and put it to your mouth and you swallow it, you can decide to follow the bass line or the drum track or the guitar or the incredible voice of Mr. Plant. You have to taste it 2 or 3 times to really appreciate the pan-dimension that wine has. But this wine at £24.99 is giving me as much pleasure as some Burgundies have given to me at 100. So I can't recommend that highly enough. So £12. Let's go back. I tell you what, let's go back. Let's see how far up the mountain we've climbed. What does this taste like now? Still smells delicious. It's a whole heap easier to appreciate that wine in one mouthful, but it's still absolutely delicious. I've been very, very blessed. Thank you to all you guys. Tesco, Co-op, Marques and Spencer's, Davey. You sent me some beautiful wines. We can't go anywhere, so my friend's garden in Balham. I'm going to fire up the barbecue and have one of the best nights of the year. Thank you very much. See you later.